Picking up speed here on Chapman Avenue eastbound. Still in the city of Orange. Going at a higher rate of speed, about 50 miles an hour. Good news is light traffic in the area. Oh, slowing down. She might be making a turn. Oh, look at this, a U-turn. Big U-turn on Chapman now westbound on Chapman. Okay. Copy that. Right through that signal. Kathy and Adrian, thank you. Still in the city of Orange, westbound Chapman. Ready to go. That's right, Adrian. We've been following this pursuit for the last several minutes. It's been going on for about 10 minutes. It's a female driver currently westbound on Chapman Avenue approaching the 55 freeway. She is wanted, I believe, for reckless driving by the Tustin Police Department. You can see her getting into the center of the lanes there of traffic, and we've seen her actually run several red lights, going on the wrong side of the road and approaching vehicles, especially the police. She's been going right at police cars, I should say, and not really aggressively, but certainly not willing to pull over at this point. Like I said, it has been going on for at least 10 minutes. She traveled out of the Tustin area up Tustin Avenue, all the way up to Lincoln Avenue, and then back down Tustin to the 22. Now she's on Chapman Avenue, heading westbound back towards the 55 freeway. Speeds have been a little bit high. No one's been injured, no traffic accidents to speak of. But again, a couple of close calls with officers' vehicles, including the CHP that was blocking the freeway at the 22. She came and approached one of the vehicles, and that vehicle had to move out of the way. Again, you can see a little bit of heavy traffic right now on Chapman Avenue. She should be coming up to the freeway here momentarily. She's been a little bit indecisive as far as what to do. And look at her, she's kind of stopping in lanes there. She actually has been making several U-turns on the major streets here, causing some havoc for drivers. But again, a difficult pursuit for the Tustin Police Department as this pursuit continues. Most certainly. Look at that. She tried to weave there onto the freeway. She acted like she was going to go, and she didn't. Continuing westbound Chapman, that's the 55 freeway she's going to pass under. But certainly, Kathy, a pit maneuver is definitely a chance to do here because the traffic is fairly light out here on Chapman Avenue. She's approaching Tustin Avenue now, and we'll see. Look at that. She's going right through that. Another red light. That's the off-ramp to the southbound 55 freeway. She's going to continue on towards Chapman, and we've seen her make a U-turn here before. Let's see if she does it again. She's very indecisive as far as what she's doing. I don't know if that's due to any kind of intoxication on her part, or if she's just doing that just to try to spook the officers or try to freak them out. This is the second time we've seen her turn into this shopping center right here, just as at Tustin and Chapman. We've seen her turn in here. Now you can see the police have backed off away and let the helicopter track her at this point. So we'll see what she does now that the police aren't directly behind her. But you can see the night sunlight of that helicopter overhead is still lighting her up occasionally, and so she has to be aware that they are still watching her, keeping an eye on her, but they've decided to give her a little breathing room here to see what she'll do. Yeah, you look at how she's driving. Wow, right there against the light, she runs that turn, almost hits that truck, and then continues on. Look at that. There's a U-turn in lanes. We've seen this multiple times now. She's made U-turns just out of the blue. Just no reason for it. Now she's going to go against traffic. This is now getting dangerous. Look at that car backing up. Oh, man. That guy's like, I got to get out of the way. This crazy lady is coming right at me. And right there's another officer. She drives right by him and then does this again, a U-turn. They haven't. They've been exercising a lot of patience with her, Adrian. We did hear about possibly setting up a spike strip, but her driving has been so erratic. She has been staying on Tustin Avenue and Chapman Avenue for the most part in the last several minutes, but now I'm hearing that they're considering those moves against those officers' vehicles as a threat to the officers. So now that ramps this things up here quite a bit. Now look at her, she hits the gas. We've been seeing her going about 45 miles an hour, and the airship is calling this 90 miles an hour. So incredible situation here as she's very, very erratic on her driving. Here you go, right into this intersection, a red light, and then makes a right turn. She's definitely on Tustin Avenue. Now she's right there. She's northbound Tustin Avenue, just north of Chapman. So this is in the city of Orange. This is near the 55 freeway and north of the 22. And I can no, go ahead. Well, Kathy, I think they were trying to give her a little leeway to see if she'd calm down, but apparently not. She's ramped things up, and certainly with this word of her, approaching those officers with her vehicle that she's been doing, that's a threat to officers. So we're likely to see a pit maneuver soon, or at the very least a spike strip. And now, interesting thing that I just heard on the scanner right now, it looks like she's being more aggressive towards civilian drivers. They think that maybe she's trying to target vehicles that are coming at her, and that's why she's making the U-turns. Yeah, that's correct, Adrian. And again, certainly now she's southbound on Tustin Avenue from Walnut, and we're not really seeing the units behind her. I would think that maybe they would try to get behind her and engage her again, but maybe they're giving her some more breathing room here to see if she'll calm down in her driving. So far, there's a unit there in that parking lot has turned around. There's another one there in that parking lot. So they're giving her a lot of leeway here. Certainly, when she goes on the wrong side of the road, that's a threat to those other vehicles. And when she approaches the police cars, whether it's CHP or the Tustin police, that certainly is cause for alarm for those officers. But again, they're trying to be very patient with this driver. So far, she hasn't been in any collisions, but she has run red lights, and we've seen her make a U-turn at this intersection here before. She actually turned into this Arco gas station prior to going on air, and came out of that, and here she comes, and maybe she's going to turn back in there. But again, she has this pattern now on Tustin Avenue where she's doing this loop around, and we'll see what she does. Now the officers are trying to engage her, and they have their lights off, and look at that. Around and around she goes with the officers, and again, they're not going to tolerate that very, very much longer than this. Fortunately, like I said, there's not a whole lot of traffic out here at this hour on Tustin Avenue, but you're looking at her going around and around in circles, now northbound on Tustin. And like I said, they're not going to tolerate this very much longer, especially when she makes some difficult moves like going onto the wrong side of the road or approaching other vehicles. Well, Kathy, it started down in the Tustin area on Tustin Avenue, came up Tustin Avenue into the city of Orange, and that's where it's remained since we've got on it, just in the city of Orange. But look at this, that right against that officer right there. The officer could have jammed her, but he decided not to. Again, that kind of movement by the suspect could be enough to say, okay, that's an assault on a peace officer. But again, you know, she hasn't been that aggressive with them. But this is what she does. She'll follow them right there. They could have done a pit maneuver right there on her. But again, they may not be pit qualified. That could be the situation. Look at her. She's racing like she's racing the officer. It's unbelievable. Wow. Yeah, Adrian, I can tell you that. I mean, I can't speak for the Tustin Police because I don't know their pit maneuver policy, but you know, they may have units that are not pit qualified. They have to have officers that know how to do the pit maneuver or trained in doing so. They may just not do it as an agency themselves. They may call in the CHP to assist. They certainly will do a pit maneuver on this vehicle. But again, it's hard to say from agency to agency if they will do a pit maneuver or not. It's just difficult to say. Most of the agencies that we cover pursuits over, they will do a pit maneuver or hand it off to an agency that will do it. Yeah, and also, Kathy, you know, there, like you see, there's not a whole lot of traffic. There is opposing traffic coming the opposite direction, but I'm going to zoom out here so you can get a better idea of what the traffic conditions are. You can see there's really very light traffic on Chapman Avenue here, and again, you know, it's their discretion whether they are willing to do it. You would think this would be the optimum chance to do it because there's not a lot of traffic. The lanes are wide. There's 3 lanes in each direction. Here she goes, a U-turn. Over and over again. Oh, here's a group of people right there yelling at her, talking to her. Maybe they're encouraging her to turn. No, but no, they're not. They're dancing and encouraging this activity. So, you know, this might be a situation where these are friends of hers that are encouraging her on. As far as the police have mentioned, they really haven't mentioned any passengers on board. And I'm hearing that right now. In fact, they're talking about no other occupants in the vehicle. So it sounds like it's just the driver. Yeah, you know, a lot of times they'll wait to see what kind of driving pattern this suspect has. And one problem with spike strips in this area is the width of the street. It makes it very dangerous for officers to get out there in multiple lanes like that. It's a threat to them. It's a risk to them. That driver could easily swerve towards them and run them down. So maybe they're waiting for a narrower street. If she gets into a neighborhood, possibly they can put out that spike strip. It's a little safer. Sometimes they do it at intersections as well. But again, there's not a lot of traffic out here. So on this particular street, it would be a very difficult task for those officers to put that spike out. Yeah, she is. I believe she's westbound. She's westbound Chapman, approaching Tustin or approaching the 55 freeway. And I'm hearing now that the officers on the ground are saying that she's yelling out the window something about her son. That's what we're hearing from the airship. So again, I'm not sure how they're hearing that. Oh, look at that, right towards the officer. And there we go. That looked like it might have been a spike strip right there. That was really interesting. She drove right at the officers, stopped, and then it looked like she realized, uh-oh, there might be a spike strip there. And that looks like that might have been a spike strip attempt. Yes, I'm hearing that now. Stop it. It sounds like she hit that spike strip. Now she's just playing with the officers, stopping and then taking off. We'll see if those tires go flat here. They should be going flat pretty soon. In fact, that front tire, that front driver's side tire, looks like it might be spinning a little bit. So it looks like a successful hit on that spike strip. Just as we were saying that, it would be a difficult spot. They picked the right spot for it on that turnout, and she took the bait, rode right over it, and now she has some flat tires. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what she does with those tires now. Look at that. It looks like that tire is actually starting to come off right now. You're going to see some tread come off that front tire. And that's going to make it more difficult for her to control the vehicle if she's going to continue to drive on that rim. And yeah. Oh, definitely. We'll see that tire should be coming off any time now. And we might see a pit maneuver right here. Look at that aggressive driving of that unit. We'll see if he does a pit. He's getting into position like he wants to do that pit maneuver, and he quite possibly might do that right here. Wide street, no vehicles, and I'm trying to listen to see if they were talking about doing a pit maneuver, but definitely. Yeah, yes, definitely pretty quiet. She's southbound Tustin through Palmyra. She's coming up to the 22 freeway here, and we're not seeing that pit maneuver. We thought maybe there for a minute they would do that. Yeah. Well, it's difficult to say if she has the three other tires intact. It looks like the other three are intact, so maybe she just clipped that front tire on that spike. It's hard to tell. Maybe those both driver's side tires are going. It looks like I'm seeing some sparks coming off that front tire for sure. Yes, definitely. Coming up to the 22 freeway. There's the 22 freeway on-ramp. That would be the westbound. She's not taking that. We really haven't seen this go on the freeway, which I guess is a good thing. But again, okay, here comes this might be the pit right here, going under the freeway. She'll pop out to a signal there and then continue on. So the officers are looking like they want to do it, but again, they're looking at everything that's on the street, that truck, those other cars in the opposing lane. They want to find the perfect spot to do that pit if they're going to do it. Yeah, definitely. Those were people that she may have known. They were doing cartwheels at one point. But again, now she's southbound Tustin Avenue, moving into the Tustin area now. She's crossed the 22 southbound, coming up to Fairview. And you can see that that front tire on the rim sparking there. She definitely doesn't have very much control. It looks like that back rear tire might be okay, and the other two might be okay. So she's going to have a little bit of difficulty controlling the vehicle with that front tire gone. That's true. That's true. We haven't seen any U-turns since. Yep. Okay, sorry about the signal there. We're continuing on, coming up to, I believe this is coming up to 17th Street, and you can see the officer getting a little bit aggressive there. The driver kind of swerving there. Now, we don't know if she's losing control or if she's just playing with the officers by doing that, but she's going to come up to a major intersection here very soon, and I'm sure the officers have that intersection blocked off for cross traffic. But again, here's a perfect example. No one on the street, other vehicles on the other side of the road. not really happening there. So they could do a pit maneuver very easy here and bring it to an end. But again, it might be a matter of them not being able to do that or not being pit qualified. Yeah, for sure, and that would be great if she would just come to her senses and pull over. But a lot of times it'll take the car being disabled for this to come to an end. She is slowing down. She's approaching the 55 freeway. This is 17th Street eastbound from Tustin. There's the on-ramp to the southbound 55. She's not taking that. Again, this definitely is going into the Tustin area. And, again, they're not really trying to do any kind of pit maneuver, which is surprising. But, she's really down to slow speeds. At one point, she was up to 90 miles an hour. The airship was calling that 90 miles an hour. So we've seen this go to, from 5 miles an hour to 90 miles an hour on surface streets. And now this is actually a good sign that she's going this slow. Maybe she will just give it up. NOC from KBC2 Chopper. Should we switch mount tops? Are we okay? Okay. Do we have a signal? Okay. Thank you. Three o'clock. I am, Adrian. I'm back with you, and this is eastbound 17th Street past Prospect, and it sounds like they're going to try to maybe do another spike strip attempt because they only got one of the four tires on this vehicle. We're watching that lead police car right there with the door open as he's driving, only going about 5-10 miles an hour. The good thing is we haven't seen very much erratic driving from this driver, but again, you never know with her because she was stopping and then going 90 miles an hour, back to 5 miles an hour, making U-turns in all kinds of parking lots. So again, very, very difficult for the officers to deal with this suspect. Again, we are having to stay a distance out because of air traffic control, but we're going to try to get back over the pursuit here and get a better shot of what's going on. But continuing eastbound on 17th Street, away from the 55 freeway, the next major street should be Newport Avenue. Yeah, we haven't heard it go on the freeway. It's been mostly surface streets, mostly the main streets. We haven't heard very much of her going into neighborhoods, which is a good thing. But again, now with one tire gone, this kind of changes the profile of the way she's driving. Yeah, that's just it. You know, oh, and look at that. You know, I'm just noticing the passenger side. It looks like the passenger front tire is also gone. I see some sparks coming out of that. So that spike strip did a better job than we thought. Got at least 2 of the tires, if not all 4. We're seeing sparks coming off of both the front and the front driver's side and passenger side. So that's why she's having difficulty. That's why she's not doing the U-turns, because driving on those rims like that, it's very easy to lose control. You don't really have traction when you make a left turn or a right turn. So that explains the slow speed. You know, it also could be, Adrian, that they may think that she might have a weapon or might be dangerous in that manner and not want to jeopardize the safety of officers. That could be the issue, too. We haven't heard that she has a weapon. We haven't heard that, but she has been aggressive, at least verbally, out the window. So it could very well be that they're just giving her some time to think about it. Again, though, we're not sure if Tustin PD has a pit maneuver policy or not, if their officers are trained in doing so, but it would seem very easy to do a pit maneuver at these speeds with a very low risk to other drivers in the area right now. I'm sorry, I missed that, Adrian. I had some noise on. Okay, well, it looks like she's continuing now. It looks like southbound. I believe this is Newport Avenue. I'll double check here on the scanner, but I believe this is southbound Newport from 17th Street. You can see that officer's door is still popped open there a little bit. Because of the slow speeds, they're ready to jump out and bring this pursuit to an end if she was to jump out and run. But so far, we haven't seen her do that. We've seen her stop, but not get out and run. Well, Kathy, same profile, driving really slow. Both front tires are gone. She's on the rims, and they have several units behind her from the Tustin Police Department. I'm going to zoom out so you can see that. You can see the street there completely shut down as they continue southbound on Newport Avenue. Now, earlier on, you were mentioning that, trying to figure out what's going on with this driver. I did hear early on in this pursuit that she may have made contact with the police department via cell phone. It could be the case that she's talking on the phone with the police department, and maybe that's how they're hearing her screaming out the window about her son. There was a report that she was screaming out the window something about her son. She was not very happy. They said that she was very angry. But this pursuit continues on. She's got 2 front tires that are completely gone. She's basically riding on the rims, traveling at about 5 miles an hour. The Tustin Police Department behind her, they're ready to jump out and make a felony traffic stop on this vehicle. But again, this has been a suspected reckless driver. This pursuit starting about 40 minutes ago and continuing through the city of Tustin and into Orange, now back into the Tustin area, continuing southbound here on Newport. But again, we saw very reckless driving early on. Now it's calmed down because she doesn't have very much control of this vehicle. and she realizes that. That's the good news. She's not really doing any kind of evasive moves or driving at other vehicles like we saw earlier on Tustin Avenue and on Chapman Avenue, but now just driving slowly down Newport Avenue with the police right on her tail. That's right, Adrian. The first thing I heard when this pursuit broke out, it was that she was running red lights at high speeds. That was the first indicator of that she was being reckless in her driving. But also, we saw her crossing into oncoming traffic, going head-on with other vehicles. She did at one point go around a CHP unit. That CHP unit had to get out of the way. She made multiple U-turns that we saw on Tustin Avenue as well as Chapman Avenue. And at one point, there was a group of guys on the sidewalk that were cheering her on. One guy was doing somersaults. So she has some sort of audience out there in the city of Orange. Now in Tustin, we don't see that as much. No one really on the streets. But again, that's the kind of erratic driving she was doing. We saw her pull into multiple store parking lots. We saw in a gas station at an Arco station on Tustin Avenue. She pulled in there and made a U-turn. We saw her go into strip malls and do the same thing. So a very erratic driving, very inconsistent driving in the early stages of this pursuit. But now it has calmed down. That's the good news because she doesn't have any front tires. Not really. But, you know, Kathy, we saw at one point she made a U-turn on Tustin Avenue at Chapman and then turned into the opposing lanes. And, in fact, one of the cars had to back up out of her way. They were terrified. They were thinking that she was going to go head-on with them, and they had to actually back out of the way. And we've seen the officers' vehicles. We've seen the CHP dive out of the way. We saw some of the Tustin police vehicles having to dodge her. So, again, one of the concerns is that, or one of the issues for her is now that she drove at those officers. That can be considered as a threat to those officers, and that adds a different profile to this pursuit. Yes, she's turning into another parking lot here very slowly. I'm trying to get you a location here, but it looks like it's going to be, yeah, okay, and it looks like she might be coming to an end here. It might be stopping. Let's see, does she have an outlet? I'm going to zoom out. No, we've got a bunch of cars there. And, well, very interesting. That officer, it has that profile of a pit, but they're definitely not going to do it now with all those vehicles. Yeah, exactly. More people in this parking lot. I'm not sure what the store is. Oh, look at this. She's going to try to turn and maybe park. Maybe not. It doesn't. It really doesn't. And now this might be an opportunity for them to do a pit maneuver on her because she's in this confined area. She may not have an outlet here. Oh, she does. Okay, there's a driveway right there. She's going to come out onto that street, probably make a right turn. I'll pick up the street sign so you can see what street that is. That's going to be, what is that, Centennial Way, I believe it says. And then continuing out now westbound, I believe. And I'll try to get you that street for you. But again, moving very slow. And I'm going to zoom out once more to see what kind of area this is. It looks like a commercial area. No houses to speak of, at least on this street. But you know, they could do it for those rear tires. The rear tires look like they're intact. But I don't think they really need to. I mean, really simply a bump of the bumper here. If they would just bump that rear bumper a little bit, spin her out, that should do it. But again, they may not be able to do that. I mean, their watch commander may be saying, "Don't do the pit. Let's just wait to see how this ends. Maybe that she'll just pull over." But no, she just continues on. That's That's a really good point. You know, she may have a child in there. Although early on the airship said they could only see the driver, but that doesn't mean anything. There could be a small child in there that's on the floorboard even. Exactly. So that might be the reason. You know, normally we would be saying, okay, here's a perfect opportunity. Do a pit right here. She's going 5 miles an hour. No one's around. But the officers obviously have a reason to not do that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I believe this is West Main Street in the city of Tustin, and she should be approaching the 5 and the 55 interchange here, and it looks like that street maybe goes under, according to my map, it should cross under the freeway here fairly soon. But again, look at how slow she's going. All the units behind. I'm going to zoom out to give you a better idea. So they have 4 units in the pursuit with the airship overhead, lighting her up, and coming through. Okay, I'm going to make a correction. This is First Street, not Main Street. She's First Street, westbound at Yorba, and coming up to the 55 freeway here shortly. I'm going to get a look into the window there to see her. Yeah, she's definitely on rims, that's for sure. But you know, we're not seeing a lot of sparks coming up because she's not really giving it a lot of gas. She's just taking it really slow. It is definitely grinding on the street, but we're not seeing those sparks. But any kind of speed, we'll start seeing it spark up quite a bit. Right over the 55 freeway now, westbound on First Street, and she'll be approaching Tustin Avenue. That's one of the favorite streets of hers, and. Oh, this is, let's see here. What street is this that she's turning on? Trying to get it located for you. This is Tustin. Okay. She's on Tustin now, northbound Tustin. Now she's going back towards the area that we once saw her earlier on in the pursuit. But again, they're saying about, yeah, go ahead. No, they certainly can do another spike and take out those back tires, and then she'll be on 4 rims. But that still doesn't guarantee that she'll pull over. You know, she can still ride on those rims, and then although that'll make it very, very unstable for her with riding on all 4 rims, trying to make turns. We've seen that in other pursuits where vehicles will lose their tires and then drive on those rims and try to make a turn, and they crash into another vehicle or crash into the curb or into a wall even. So it just depends on the driver. She's obviously concerned about her driving skills with no tires on those front wheels because she's gone from 45, 50 miles an hour on average in this pursuit to about 5 to 10 miles an hour right now. So definitely a challenge for this suspect as she continues northbound here on Tustin Avenue. Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I think the top speed I've heard the airship say is 20 miles an hour, so she's not going any faster than that. And now, speaking of the spike strip, I just heard them mention it once again, so it sounds like they're repositioning for that. We might see it here shortly on Tustin Avenue. I'm trying to get a heads up here. I'm going to zoom out a little bit to see if there's any officers up ahead. But if anything happens, we'll be able to see it here. And we'll see if this is her pattern to get back on Tustin Avenue. We've seen her go up and down all the way from First Street here in Tustin, all the way up to Lincoln Avenue, out towards the 91 freeway. So that's the duration or the distance this pursuit has traveled up and down Tustin Avenue. She might. You never know. I mean, here she goes through that intersection. And, you know, the Tustin police are doing a fantastic job of blocking intersections. That's helping greatly with any kind of cross traffic. So that's keeping a lot of traffic to the minimum out here on Tustin Avenue. Yeah, and you know, Tustin Avenue at this hour of the night usually is pretty light traffic like this. During the day, it's quite a different story. Certainly up by where she was by Chapman and Tustin, very busy during the day, but at this hour, it's fairly light. That's good news, and not a lot of foot traffic out here. Yeah, early on, we were as we were launching out of Fullerton Airport, we did hear the airship talking about her talking to the police on a cell phone. So that's actually a good thing. They can talk her out of the pursuit, tell her to, you know, pull over. Nothing's going to happen to her. We're not going to harm you. Just pull over and let's talk about it. That type of thing. Try to negotiate to pull over. But it sounds like she's been fairly aggressive with officers over the phone. At one point, screaming out the window something about her son. Again, I'm taking a look. Unfortunately, we're up really high. We have other aircraft up here with the police helicopters on station. You can kind of get an idea of what she's doing right there. She looks like she has a white blouse on, maybe moving around a little bit in the vehicle. Right. So, you know, that's gonna speak towards, you know, what she's thinking, what her attitude is, and unfortunately, she's just going to continue to move on here and keep this thing going. Literally, she might be coming to a stop here. There it is. At a stop, they're saying her left and right rear tires are still intact. So we might see that spike strip set up ahead, and you know now the police have an advantage to put that spike strip out because she is limited on that steering capability off the front of that car, and it's a little bit of a lesser, I should say, threat to officers having to get that spike strip out. As you saw the last spike strip, or the first spike strip they did, the officers were in a strategic spot with the center divider as a block or a safety device for them. They were able to put that spike strip out in the fast lane, and she went towards them, but then hit that spike and probably didn't realize it until she hit it. Yeah, and that's enough for them to file, assault with a deadly weapon on a police officer charges on her. Yeah. Yeah, you can see it's actually damaged the fender on the car as well. So we'll see what she does here. I mean, this is a good opportunity to say, okay, I'm going to give it up here. That tire's just spinning there on the street, not very much traction, and she might give it up here. We'll see. Right. Right. We've seen many pursuits where they barricade themselves inside their vehicle, causing the SWAT team to come out and make a call, and then having to get them out by different means. But let's hope that doesn't happen. But here she is. Okay, she's got her. What is she doing there? She's got her window down. Her hands are coming out the window. Let's see if she throws the keys. That'll be the first indicator that she's given it up. That'll be the order by the officers to shut the car off, throw the keys out, and open the door and come out. We'll see if she does that. Oh, that's unfortunate. Well, she may have wanted to say something to the officers there out the window, and it looked like she was. So, again, here we go. You see that officer with the door open in case she jumps out and runs. He can run and tackle her. But at this point, it's just creeping along. Okay, I'm trying to listen to the officers talking about what their next tactic is to bring this to an end. It almost sounded like they want to block her in somehow. We'll see if that happens, but right now she's come to a stop. We're going to reposition the helicopter here to get away from that tree. But you can see all lanes of Tustin Avenue. She's northbound on, I believe that's Tustin Avenue. I'll get you a street here in a second, but she's stopped right now, and that's a good sign. Maybe she'll give it up here. 8 o'clock. Doors opening. Okay, thank you. We're seeing the driver now with the door popped open. The vehicle has stopped. She looks like she might be hanging out the window talking to officers. We're going to try to get it back over into position to see what she's actually doing. We can get a look at her. But you can see they brought a canine unit now. You can see that dog walking with the officer. They are going to present that dog to her and give her some options here to give up peacefully. They won't hesitate to send that dog in after her and chase her out of that vehicle. Hopefully she'll do the right thing and just surrender. We haven't seen the keys come out of the vehicle. We've seen the door pop open. This is the first time in the pursuit that she's come to this stop for this long with the door open, with her window down for that matter. And hopefully this will come to an end. This is going on an hour on this pursuit. We have 2 police helicopters overhead and about 4 or 5 units behind the pursuit. The doors popped open of the suspect vehicle. A female driver, suspected reckless driver in this pursuit. We've watched her blow through multiple red lights, run the wrong direction on the road, go towards other vehicles as well as the police cars, and at one point driving over one of the spike strips that they set up, popping the front tires. That for the most part has disabled her and brought the reckless part of the driving to an end. And now it's a waiting game with that door open. She still has the keys, we believe, in her possession. And the door is popped. And we don't know if that's just to play games with the officers. We saw her play cat and mouse with the officers before. She did come to a stop briefly on Chapman Avenue just to take off on the officers. But now they mean business. They got the dog there. They'll send that dog in right through the window and take her out, get her in. Oh, look at this. They're going to move on her right there. Here they go. They're going to bring it to an end. They rush to the car and pull her out and down to the ground. They put her on the ground, and that's it. They've secured the vehicle. She's on the ground. It looks like she's putting up a little bit of a fight with officers. They're going to handcuff her and bring this pursuit to an end. After an hour of reckless driving up and down Tustin Avenue through the city of Tustin and Orange, this pursuit finally comes to an end with a female driver in custody